There is something haunting about wanting too much. Zahara didn't always live a life people envied. She was born in a small town in an extremely rural area that was considered remote to most parts of the country. A quiet place where dreams often died before they began. Her mother, Lydia, worked two jobs, teaching during the day and selling second-hand clothes at the market at night. She believed that education would change Zahara's life, but the school she sent her to, a prestigious private academy, only reminded Zahara of what she lacked. The other girls arrived in air-conditioned cars with designer shoes, new phones and laughter that smelled like privilege. Zahara arrived in public transportation, clutching her mother's old handbag, pretending not to notice the whispers that followed her. She's not like us. Why does she even go here? Each moment carved into her heart. By the time she was 16, Zahara had learned something dangerous, that beauty could make people forget poverty. So she started to work on hers. Makeup tutorials, borrowed clothes and perfectly angled selfies. On social media, she looked like the life she didn't have, and people believed it. Men began to message her. Compliments turned into offers, lunch, shopping, trips. Her mother thought she was just working part-time jobs, but Zahara was already living two lives. When she got to the university, she met a group of girls who made her old fantasies look small. They were called the Soft Life Sisters, girls who drove luxury cars, wore imported wigs, and spoke like their names were already written on magazine covers. Zahara wanted in. She became friends with them, copied their mannerisms, their style, their captions. She dated older men, saved enough to get a body enhancement surgery, and came back transformed. That was the beginning of her rise. Suddenly, her Instagram blew up. She had brand deals, luxury endorsements, and invitations to elite parties. She started getting called Zahara the Star. But fame is never enough. The more she got, the more she wanted. That was when she met Nadia. Nadia was an influencer from Nigeria. Older, more mysterious, and surrounded by luxury that didn't quite make sense. People whispered she had spiritual backing, but Zahara didn't care. She wanted to be just like him. They met at a fashion event in Lagos, and Nadia immediately took her under her wing. One night at a private dinner, Zahara confessed, "I want to be more, Nadia. I want what you have. The fame, the power, the life that doesn't fade." Nadia stared at her for a long moment and then smiled faintly. "If I tell you how I got here, you won't sleep tonight." Zahara leaned forward. "Tell me anyway." That was how it began. Nadia explained the real wealth, the kind that doesn't make sense, doesn't come from working harder. It came from aligning yourself with power. She told Zahara to find a man with influence, married, powerful, wealthy, and to let him get her pregnant. Zahara hesitated. What happens after that? Nadia's smile widened. "When you are 8 weeks long, I will take you somewhere that will change your life forever." 2 months later, Zahara found her target, a married businessman named Mr. Olayemi, who owned several real estate companies. He was older, charming, and had already been flirting with her online. By the 3rd month, she was pregnant. She sent Nadia a message. "It's done." Nadia replied with one line, "Pack your bags, we leave for Porto Novo tomorrow." Zahara didn't tell anyone, not her mother, not her friends. She just disappeared. They took a road trip from Cotonou to Porto Novo, where the city seemed to hum with secrets. Nadia led her through narrow dirt roads until they reached a secluded compound surrounded by tall palm trees and guarded gates. A thin man opened the door and ushered them in. The air was heavy, thick with incense and something else, something old. The walls were covered in chalk markings and red fabrics. Drums echoed softly in the background, and as though someone was rehearsing for a ceremony. That night, Zahara met the man Nadia called Baba Seyi. He was old, his eyes pale gray, his voice deep and slow like thunder in the distance. He looked at Zahara and said, "You have come to exchange what you do not yet value for what you desire most. Are you ready?" Zahara didn't answer. She looked at Nadia. Nadia nodded. The ritual lasted 30 days. Every dawn, Zahara was made to bathe in river water mixed with crushed leaves and ashes. She slept on a mat under a red cloth and was forbidden from seeing herself in any mirror. Each week, Baba Seyi would hand her a bowl of herbs to drink, bitter, sharp, and foul-smelling. Nadia told her it was to purify her womb. But one night, on the 27th day, Zahara woke up to see Baba Seyi grinding something inside a wooden mortar. The sound echoed like bones cracking. When she moved closer, she saw him whispering into smoke. Then he turned to her and said, "Tonight, you will be free from weakness, but remember, power demands silence." She drank one last concoction. Her stomach twisted violently. Pain tore through her, and when it was over, she realized what she had lost, her unborn baby. Baba Seyi collected the remains into a clay bowl, whispered strange incantations, and mixed it with a thick cream that smelled of herbs and blood. "This," he said, handing it to her, "is your destiny. Rub it on your body every night until the moon dies. The one who made you pregnant will never abandon you. His fortune will become yours." Nadia bowed, thanked the priest, and the next morning they left. Everything changed after that. When Zahara returned home, Mr. Olayemi couldn't stay away from her. He left his wife, bought Zahara a new house, registered a business in her name, and started sending her outrageous amounts of money. Her fame exploded. She went from influencer to celebrity. Every post went viral. Every brand wanted her face. Her name was everywhere. Radio, TV, billboards. For the first time in her life, Zahara had everything. But like all addictions, the high faded. 2 years later, she wanted more. She had tasted power and couldn't stop craving it. She remembered what Baba Seyi said. Power demands silence. But Zahara thought silence was for the weak. When the fifth richest man in Nigeria followed her online, she saw her chance. His name was Chief Tunde, a man known for his mysterious connections and quiet influence. Within weeks, she had him wrapped around her finger. When she realized she was pregnant again, she smiled. History was about to repeat itself. She texted Nadia, but her number had been disconnected. So Zahara decided to go to Porto Novo alone. This time, the journey felt different. The house was still there, but the air felt wrong. Baba Seyi's eyes seemed colder, more suspicious. "You again?" he murmured. "Did I not warn you? The path cannot be walked twice." "I just need more," Zahara pleaded. "One more time." Baba Seyi stared at her for a long time before finally agreeing, but he refused to speak a word during the ritual. When it ended, Zahara returned home with the new cream, a second promise of power. But this time, nothing went as planned. When Chief Tunde called her days later, his voice was distant. "Turn on your camera," he said. Zahara adjusted her silk robe, smiled and did as told, but the image that appeared on the screen froze her blood. Chief Tunde was standing in a dimly lit room wearing a red robe, surrounded by men in black masks. "Zahara," he said calmly, "you have interfered with the order. What you took in Porto Novo was not yours to take twice. The life that feeds your wealth must now feed your destruction. You have been marked." The screen went black. Zahara dropped the phone, trembling. That night, her skin burned like fire. Her reflection in the mirror twisted. Her words slid. By morning, she couldn't move half her body. Doctors called it a stroke. Her fans called it burnout. But her mother knew. Now Zahara sits in her mother's house, half her face frozen, her eyes vacant. Sometimes she whispers Nadia's name. Other times she screams in her sleep. And Nadia, no one ever saw her again. So the next time you envy someone's perfect life on social media, the designer bags, the Dubai trips, the cars and champagne smiles, remember Zahara. Some luxuries are paid for in silence, and some dreams come with a curse.